Okay, this is the equation solving fractions homework. Take a look at the directions. It says solve each of the following problems. So just like we solved equations, I just kind of put a line down showing the two different sides of the equation. And I say, okay, what is happening between the fraction and the x? What operation? So in the first one, they're being multiplied together. So I need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is to divide by 2/3. Now, when we were doing division of fractions, we didn't do it as a fraction line. We wrote it like this: divide by 2/3. Okay, so 2/3 divided by 2/3, that's just saying like 5 divided by 5. They reduce to 1, which would just be 1x or x. Now on this side, we're going to solve it just like we've been doing. We're going to keep, change to multiplication, and use the reciprocal. So this would become 3/2. You got to make sure you flip that fraction. Use that reciprocal. Then I'm going to reduce on the diagonal. 2 and 4 can reduce by 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 4 2 times. I can't reduce my 3 and my 7, so now I'm going to just multiply straight across. So it says 2 times 3, which is 6, and 7 times 1, which is 7. Okay, so I don't see that Miss Flood said to check on these, so we're just going to solve each of them. All right, so then I'm going to go, let's go down to this one on the bottom right. So before I can do anything, I have to change this mixed number into improper by doing 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6/5. X equals 3/5. Then I say, okay, those are being multiplied together, so the inverse would be to divide by 6/5. Now, whatever you do on one side, we need to do it to the other. So I'm going to show my division going horizontally like this. Those reduce to 1x, or just x. And here I'm going to keep, change, and use the reciprocal. So 5 goes into 5 once. 3 goes into 3 once and into 6 twice. So when I multiply across, I get 1, and when I multiply across the bottom, I get 2. Okay, so there's 2 examples of how to do the ones on the front. Let's flip it to the back. So in this one, we have to say, okay, what's happening with the x in the fraction? Well, in this case, x is being divided by 3/4. So I'm going to do the opposite of divide by 3/4, which is to multiply by 3/4. Whatever I do on one side of the equation, I need to do it on the other. So I'm going to put times 3/4 there. But because this 75 is just a whole number, I'm going to make it a fraction by putting it over 1. 3/4 and the 3/4 on that side reduce to 1x. And then I'm going to look and see if there's anything I can reduce. So it doesn't look like there's anything I can reduce, so I'm going to multiply across. 75 times 3 would be 225. And then in my denominator, I have a 4. But I don't want to leave it like that. I know Miss Flood said in class we could if we were checking, but if we were to change that to a mixed number, I would say, how many times does 4 go into 225? So it looks like it's going to go in 56 times with the remainder of 1. Okay, let's do one more of those. Let's go to the one down here on the bottom. Again, g is being divided by 7/8, so the opposite would be to multiply g by 7/8. So if I multiply there by 7/8, I've got to multiply this side. And I'm going to make that 36 a fraction by putting it over 1. 7/8 reduce. And I'm going to look here, is there anything I can reduce? Well, I know a 4 goes into both of those. 4 goes into 8 twice. 4 goes into 36 9 times. And then I would do 9 times 7 is 63. 1 times 2 is 2. And then if I wanted to change it into a mixed number, I could do 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 3 once, with a remainder of 1, so it goes in 31 times, the remainder of 1, and we would bring our 2 over.